So just a quick little update on this room. Haven't done anything really special. No major jobs, and there's nothing major going to happen just yet. All I've done is use my sander, and I'm really happy with this sander because you can put into the bottom of it the hoover, and it makes pretty much zero mess. I have got another sander with a big massive, I'm not sure size, sanding pads on it. A lot more powerful, but it's like a two-handed orbital sander. The problem with that one is, because it's a circular sanding pad, you can't get up into the corners, but you can't put my hoover attachment onto it, so it makes too much mess. And there wasn't a lot of sanding needed doing in here anyway. There was a couple of marks on the wall. What I've done is I've got a sanding pad and I've blitzed the whole wall. You can see where it's patchy, because they've had, I'm not sure what colour it was. That's like a magnolia. Underneath is sort of a whiter colour. But there was areas, like I'll show you over here. That's sort of a white, and then it's a yellowish. So there's all sorts of patches on the wall anyway. But now there's patches on the wall where I've sanded down to different colours. So all I've done is there and here somewhere there's a couple of small nail tacks in the wall, so I pulled them out. Them holes are really easy to fill. I'm not sure where's that one and that one. Over here somewhere there's a couple of screw holes. They're a bit bigger, so I filled them. Most of the holes are filled with I got two different fillers. So normally what I've been doing is using this grey filler at the bottom, Ultimate Drillable One Fill. It goes on quite easy. It does dry quite quick, so you've got to be quite fast with it. A little squirt of water helps it get a bit wetter again. And then what I've been doing is, for the second little coat of filler, just to make sure there's no cracks or anything, I've been using this Toupret smoothing filler. Now you only need a really thin layer of that. So I filled these holes in, I've sanded them, and then I've gone over it with the white fine filler, but I can't feel that. So I'm hoping with the undercoat primer paint, that'll fill that. Because this wall's going to be white, and white won't cover that magnolia wall in one coat, not with the grey filler and the pink shining through. So this wall here, all I've done is I've scraped all the paint off the light switch, I've sanded it all back, and I've gone through the holes. I haven't done the skirting boards because, like I said, the skirting boards are old, they're never going to look perfect, but I did paint them before I had carpet fitted. So they probably just need a second coat of, or 2 or 3 coats of white satin on there. The ceiling wasn't actually too bad. I have sanded the whole ceiling. There's a couple of tiny little runs and bumps on it, but there's no like cracks where the plasterboard's cracking. The only problem was there where the guy who did the loft insulation put his foot through the ceiling, I think, and he made a hole. He filled it, but he did a crap job of it. So then I had to just sand his filling down, and then I put that thin Toupret fill over it. So the ceiling's not too bad. There's a couple of marks where it's gone down to bare paint. So I will need to put, well, because it's bare plaster, I'll probably do a really light coat of the mist coat. This wall here wasn't really a problem. I can't remember any marks on it. There was a bit of fill there, a bit of fill there. I don't know why, I think I just saw a couple of little, like, tiny little dents. Over here, there's a couple of little dents. I think probably a cupboard's been there because there was like vertical gouges in the wall. So it's probably like some bedside table or something. I cleaned the plug off there. I cleaned the plug off there as best as I could. They're not brand new plugs, but there was loads of paint on them, like 3 different colours, pink and purple and things. This wall, there was mould curtain pole holes there. They're now my curtain poles. So I've left 6 holes there. There was also a couple of holes under here and under there, so they've had some sort of blind there. I think there was a hole there, so maybe a curtain tie back, because there is another one that side. That there, I don't know what it was. I think it was just a bit of a ditch. I don't know why. Not sure if they've had maybe a TV bracket in the wall or something there. But then that wall wasn't too bad, and then this wall wasn't too bad. So it's basically just a sand. But the main job in this room has been this window. I didn't have the problem that I had in other rooms when all the paint peeled off. This wall, I've sanded it, I've been scratching it. The paint seems to be quite solid in this room. No plaster's come off. I haven't had any issues like that. There was a slight bit of paint peeling here, and I thought it's going to go south like all the last rooms have been. And I didn't really want to start peeling it and doing what I did last time, because the loose bits of paint peel off easy, but then you get halfway through it, like past halfway, so you're committed, but then it starts to get hard and you've got to scrape it off. And if you didn't scrape all of it off, you'd be left with a big thick part where it's off and not off, you know what I mean? So to blend that in, you have to sand it anyway, and to sand 5 coats of paint would be a nightmare. So what I did was I attacked it with this Paint Predator. It's like a jelly. You paint it on quite thick. Haven't used this one before. And I have got all the scrapers and all the scratches. So I painted that on. Actually, I think I've still got some in the bucket. I painted it on using it's quite thick, big gloopy. You stick it on. It does smell a little bit, but it doesn't really burn. It's got no, it says on it, it's non-flammable. It strips out to 3 layers in 30 minutes. So I timed it by 30 minutes to an hour. After about 30 minutes to an hour, it starts to go dry. So you've got to tack it and peel it off, because then that paint then goes dry again. So I started on this wall, and I lost count now. There was the magnolia, maybe a different sort of yellowy magnolia. Then there was a white. Then as you get into it, there was a light pink. There was like a lilac-y colour. Then there was a white. Then there was a deep pink. Then there's another white underneath it. So there's like 5, 6, 7 sort of colours under it. The paint was quite thick. So I can't get it all off. I've used loads and loads of that stuff, but I filled it, I've sanded it. I put, because when I'm scraping it, and I've sanded it with, I can't remember what grit it was. I think it was a 60 grit sandpaper. It's made some swirl marks in the plaster. So I've used that fine filler just to go under the swirl marks. I'll give that a light coat of sanding just to get rid of the little lumps and bumps are left on it. And that's same that side. So it took ages to get all the paint off, because that paint stripper only strips like 3 layers of paint, but there was probably 3 layers of each colour, and there's 7 colours. So once you started stripping it, it was going into different colours, and I thought it'd be quicker to strip it than it would be to sand it, because it's already wet now, and it'd be quicker to strip it and sand it than it would be to paint and prime over that dark pink colour. So that's what I've done. Then I noticed what they've done, like they've done in every single room so far, is instead of cutting in the paint into the corner, they literally painted the window frame like they have in the other rooms. But they've also painted this part of the window frame, that part of the window frame, then even on the rubber. Because the rubber doesn't look white, but it's an old window, so it's never going to look white. And it's got some grey, it looks a bit like a mouldy sort of, I can describe it as mouldy. It's not mould, but it looks a bit mouldy. But they painted right up to the window. So I've had to scrape that off. But I've been using different scrapers. This one here uses Stanley blade, and that's too sharp. So when you scratch the plastic, it just digs in. It gouges your window. Then I was using this scraper, and it's probably not sharp enough, so it doesn't scratch. And also it's too big to get it in the angles against the glass and the thing. And I use this scraper, and I've used other scrapers. So it took ages to scrape all that off without damaging the wall, the window, the glass. So I managed to get all the window. It's pretty much clean now, right around the edges. I also had to get a screwdriver and a scraper and things to get all the old silicone out. But they've used silicone. I don't really know why you use silicone on the internal. Silicone's waterproof. So what you should have done is used cork or filler. So the gap's quite small. Here, I thought the plaster had fallen off, but I think what they've done is the plaster's broken and pushed up. So all they've done is they've siliconed it and stuff, and I had to get that out. But then when I put the paint stripper stuff onto it, the silicone was going all really gloopy and stuff. So every time you touch it, it was just sticky, so it was a nightmare. So I've had to get all that out, and then I've used the filler to go around the edges. And there's a couple of little gaps. What I'll do is I'll prime it with my undercoat primer, and then I'll run a bead of cork around it to make it even neater. The window ledge, this piece of wood, again, it was on about 7 or 8 different colours of paint. Well, they probably painted it every time they painted the room. So there's loads of coats of paint. It was thick. It would have taken ages to sand it. When they started sanding it, it was then ripping the paint because it's, I think, gloss, and then so you're better off just taking it all off. That was probably the primer which came on it, sprayed, because it was quite smooth. But I'll have to put an undercoat on it. So I got a wood undercoat. With the paint stripper stuff, it made all the filler all soft and loose as well. So I'll have to, I'll prime it first because them screws will go rusty and they'll show through. Then I'll fill it. Then I'll prime it again. Then I'll fill it. And sand it and fill it and fill it. One thing I have noticed, yeah, there, that screw is loose. So they probably hit brick and then just snap the head off. And that one, that's loose. So I might take them out because they're probably not doing anything. Again, I gone right to the edge. I got that out. It is not real wood. It's MDF. So with the sander, it has ruined the wood a little bit. But I'm thinking, by the time I prime it, sand it, prime it, sand it, maybe a light coat of filler or something, that'll come out smooth. I've done all the way around. I haven't done right at the bottom because no one's going to see that, but it does feel quite smooth. But I've sanded to this edge. So now it's like brand new. No lumps, no bumps, no runs. Obviously I can't get behind the radiator, so I'll just paint that with a roller, but I haven't sanded it. I've sanded to about there. My sander wouldn't go in there either, but no one's going to see that, so I'll just paint under there. And that's it. So all I need to do now is, it's a nightmare this is, because every time you have to do something it makes a mess all over again. The floor's all clean, it's all hoovered, but I'm going to have to sand that, sand a bit of that, sand a bit of that. Definitely over there's a bit of a thing on the wall. So there's a couple of pieces to sand, and then I think it's ready to paint. So I'll give it another check around. That needs sanding. So I'll go on all the walls again, sand it again, hoover it again, wipe it down with a damp sponge, and I think then it's ready to paint. What I'm going to do, because the ceiling is white, but it's got a couple of patches of bare plaster. The walls are yellow, but a couple of patches of bare plaster. Then the first coat of paint I'll do, I bought something the other day, another one. Probably got 1/2 tins of white undercoat primer. So I'll whack that on all the walls. So I won't need to cut in gently. I'll just get a brush, whack it thick on the joins. The only place you've got to be careful is across the bottom. So shouldn't be too difficult to cut and paint in here. The ceiling, I'll just paint gently around there. I can't take the lampshade off. And if I cover it up too much, it'll be dark in here. So sand it, hoover it, dust it, paint it. And then when that's drying, I can maybe prime the windowsill. Then when that's all done, one coat, I'll do some caulking, because I don't really want to put cork onto bare plaster and things, it might not stick. So I'll do that. I'll cork it on top of the undercoat primer, then I'll do it again, then I'll do it again. I don't normally sand in between coats, as long as I've got no lumps in it. So hopefully that'll be the last bit of sanding, and then that'll be done. Not too difficult. It's going to be white wall, white wall, white wall. That one there's a blue wall in silk. I might do that wall in the white, what's it called? Dulux Ultra Tough, like wiper wall paint. Because when you walk through that door, you can be touching this part of the wall. So that will probably discolour and scratch more than the rest of the room. So maybe that wall, I think I've got enough of it. I'll do a coat of the Ultra Tough. I've got a little bit of normal white emulsion, but probably not enough to do the ceiling. So it's a bit of a shame really using expensive trade paint for the ceiling, but hopefully with one coat of undercoat, it might just be one coat of normal for the ceiling. Just trying to use up all the paint really. I might use the normal paint, I say normal, but the cheaper version emulsion for that wall. The Ultra Tough for that wall, and then, well, I'll just see what I get on. If anything, I need to do the trade paint for the last coat, because that's the coat you're going to see. It's got, well, it's better, it's thicker, but it's better quality. You should use the top coat really, the best quality paint, because that's the one you're going to see and touch. But you don't really want to use a cheap undercoat or cheap base layer, because if that peels off, then all the good coat's going to peel off as well. So that's the paints I've got. That's the sanding I've done. That's the room, how it is so far. Yeah, it's taken a couple of days. I haven't been rushing it. I'm not in here 24 hours a day. I have done other things. It's now 20 past 11 and I've done nothing on it today. So it's not like it's taking me days and days and days of work. Yesterday I fitted a TRX to my wall, so I've been doing other jobs at the same time. I'm not in here from 7 in the morning till 7 at night. But that's my today's job. Do a bit more in here.